Okay, be honest. It's late. You should be asleep. Instead, you're in the middle of Act 3 of a movie that only you can see, where you deliver the perfect comeback to someone who wronged you in the 9th grade, and everyone in the imaginary room gasps. You didn't even think that fast in real life, but 2AM You is Oscar-winning. If you've ever caught yourself mid-rehearsal for a conversation that will never happen, congratulations, you have a very active, very human brain, and honestly, a pretty impressive imagination department working overtime for free, no union, no benefits, just vibes. Let's actually get into why this happens, because it's weirder and more interesting than you're just an overthinker. First, blame your brain's night shift. When you're falling asleep, you drift through something scientists call hypnagogia, basically the lobby between awake and asleep. And in that lobby, the strict, sensible part of your brain, the one that stops you from saying, "actually, you're wrong," out loud in a meeting, clocks out early. The emotional part of your brain, though, still working. Still has notes, still has a PowerPoint. So all the stuff you didn't say during the day, the comeback you thought of 4 hours too late, the compliment nobody gave you, the version of you that's just slightly cooler and quicker, comes out to play. Basically, your brain waits until you're completely defenseless to hand you the script it's been secretly writing all day. Rude, honestly. Very rude. Could have workshopped this with me at like 3 p.m. when I actually needed it. Second, you're not spiraling, you're editing. Here's the fun part. These fantasies aren't random. They're weirdly well structured. A setup, some tension, a satisfying ending where you finally win. That's because humans are basically story-shaped creatures. We don't experience our days like a spreadsheet, we experience them like unfinished episodes, and our brain hates loose plot threads. So if real life gave you an awkward, unresolved ending, your imagination sneaks back in at night like a director doing reshoots. New ending, better lighting. You deliver your lines properly this time, and somehow you're also wearing a better jacket in this version. Nobody knows why. Third, a quick tour of the genres, because there are genres. There's the revenge arc, where someone who doubted you watches you succeed and has to sit with that. There's the belated justice special, where you finally say the thing to the person who deserved it 3 years ago, except now you're eloquent and they're speechless. There's the secret talent reveal, where it turns out you can sing or fight or solve the case and everyone's shocked. And then there's the deep cut nobody talks about, the quiet conversation, the one with someone you miss where nothing dramatic happens, you just get to talk to them one more time. That one hits different and honestly deserves its own documentary. Fourth, apparently this makes you smarter, not weirder. There's actual research on this. Shout out to the Yale psychologist who spent his career studying daydreaming because what a job, incredible use of a doctorate, showing that people who run these kinds of detailed, structured, feel-good mental movies tend to score higher on emotional regulation and creative problem solving. So next time someone catches you staring into space with a tiny, satisfied smile, just tell them you're doing important cognitive science. You're basically working out for your brain while lying perfectly still, which is frankly the only kind of workout I fully endorse. But, and this is the part nobody puts in the highlight reel, not every 2 a.m. scene is a win. Sometimes it's the argument you're dreading instead of the one you already won. Sometimes it's a conversation with someone you miss, playing out the way you wish it had gone instead of how it actually did. And that's not your brain malfunctioning either. That's your nervous system quietly doing homework, because a huge amount of emotional processing happens during sleep. And this pre-sleep scene running seems to be where your mind sorts the folder before filing it away. So even the sad 2 a.m. scenes are weirdly kind of productive, emotionally anyway. Productivity app-wise, you're still getting absolutely nothing done. Your to-do list remains exactly where you left it, betrayed. Fifth, the twist that actually explains a lot. The people running the most elaborate nightly productions, full sets, full cast, Oscar bait monologues are often the ones who grew up having to keep a lot of what they felt to themselves. When you can't say the real thing out loud, you learn to say it very, very well in your head instead. So that inner world isn't you avoiding reality. It's you, still talking, just on a different channel, one that only broadcasts between the hours of 11 p.m. and whenever you finally lose consciousness. Sixth, a few signs you might be a frequent flyer on this particular airline. You've rehearsed an argument with someone who has no idea you're mad at them. You've given an acceptance speech for an award that doesn't exist for a job you don't have yet. You've had a full, emotionally satisfying goodbye with someone you're still very much in contact with in real life. If any of that sounded specific, know you didn't just get exposed. We're simply speaking the same language. Which brings us to the real punchline. The person in your 2 a.m. movie, witty, brave, finally saying the right thing at the right time, that's not a fantasy character. That's you, minus the part of you that spends all day worrying what everyone thinks. Kind of a shame that guy only comes out after midnight, honestly. He's got main character energy and a terrible schedule. So maybe the move isn't to feel weird about the nightly rehearsals. Maybe it's to steal a line or two from the script and actually use it in daylight, awkwardly, imperfectly. On purpose. You don't need the perfect lighting or the gasping crowd. You just need to say the smaller, real version of the thing out loud to an actual person while conscious. Because the version of you that only shows up in the dark, he's been trying to get a bigger role this whole time.